Good afternoon, traders. Hope you're all doing well. Hope you had a fantastic weekend. Welcome to Trade Setup and the live stream for the 5th of December. Um, Now we have a new, as you can see on the screen, and sorry this took a while just to get up and running. I had a few issues just with the push notifications for the alerts. I'm not sure who was getting what, so good to see a few people in there still. Now, as you can see, we've got it's just a new, I guess, screen snapshot or screensaver. We're going to have up. We've got the general advice warning down here, and you can actually see all our links. If you like, you can go to YouTube, subscribe to YouTube, and that way you should get a push notification from YouTube when everything's starting to stream, when we're actually press the go button. And if you can also, you can join us on Twitter and Facebook. Just jump on there. Feel free to like us if you do. I'm a pretty cool guy, so it'd be nice if you could. Um, yeah, but that's just our new page. We've got our general advice warning there. But you can just have a read through that in your own time. Now, let's kick it off. What we want to talk about today is I don't know what gave me the idea of this. So I was just reading through something the other day and a bit of news, and it was interesting to see how they were talking about. Obviously, we'll chat about it too. It was HSO Healthscope and how it's been sold off pretty hard, and it's a great buying opportunity. Blah blah. And I was just happening to look at a chart, and I tend to disagree from a technical point of view. So what I'll do is just we'll go through stocks, just a couple of stocks. We've got about four on the list, just things that pop up for different reasons. We'll chat about them, stocks that have been smashed, basically, and are they worth buying, and reasons why we see that some could be and some are not. So, I mean, obviously, the stories behind them are going to be different, and the reasons why they got sold off quite hard are going to be different, but I like that, Paul. Here's a big tick for you. You're a legend. All right, that's giving me a giggle this morning. And you've made me lost. Easily, I'm like a child. I'm easily diverted. My attention is diverted elsewhere pretty quickly. Um, yeah, so we just want to talk about some stocks that have been, they've been smashed, and the tendency is when people see that they go, "Oh, what a great buy it is! Look at the buying opportunity. Let's jump into it." But sometimes, yeah, it's going to work out that way, but sometimes it's not. And that could just be the start of capitulation. We've got another one here that we were actually in and took a good profit on, and then it toppled over about 3 days later. I think it was more luck than anything else, and our stops held us out. Tighten up the stops near resistance, and then we ended up getting chipped out one day, and about 2 days later it dropped. That's the reject shop. So we'll have a good chat about all those. And if anyone's got anything that they want to have a look at that has been pretty much poleaxed, and then they want to have a bit of a look at it, just put it into your chat. Chuck in the chat there, and we'll take a big look at it and just see if there's any news reasons why. That may take a bit, but anyway, we'll give it a go. Now let's get into it. Now let's just minimise that. Let's go over to the ASX 200. Not looking pretty at the moment. Big open. So the market wasn't that strong on Friday night. We had the news out, payrolls. I think they come in line with expectations, and they were better than expected. But I think it's obviously the US dollar sold off, so we could be seeing a bit of a preemptive move. We've discussed it before. Remember, we were talking about the US dollar. It's been quite strong and going into rate rise. It's all but a certainty, Nelly. I think there's about a 90% chance everyone's factoring in that there's going to be a rate rise in the US I think it's in a few weeks. I'm not sure the dates, but that's pretty much a certainty. And you can see the US dollar selling off a bit. So whether we see a bit of profit taken, who knows what's going to happen? But maybe that's a bit of a precursor on Friday night. With strong numbers, and the market pretty much did nothing. I think they're going to be looking now past this rate rise and what's going to be happening in the future. Is that number strong enough to continue rate rises, or is it not? So I think that's where you're going to get the lead from the US dollar. If it's not that, the numbers coming out not strong enough to warrant another one soon, then I'd expect the US dollar to get sold off. And you might find gold bouncing, and a few of these other things have been going. That I guess US dollar's been beaten around. Are going to react as well. So you can see here, this is the ASX 200. Didn't do too well. It's opened, I think the SPY futures closed up about 20 points or thereabouts from Friday's day session close. during the night. Early hours of Saturday morning, it closed up about 20, but the market's actually opened up weaker. So I think the SPY actually opened up quite a bit weaker this morning. So it was really just a push up into the close on early hours of Saturday morning, where it was exiting of short positions, whatever they were doing. So sometimes it's just key just to keep an eye on those, maybe the SPY futures, and see what's happening. But good sell-off. We're down about, I think we're down about 40 to 50 points on the ASX, 48. So just click that down. Down 48 points, not looking too rosy. If we can click out, actually we'll go to a daily chart just on the XJO here. You can see that it's really just, it's what we've discussed previously. You had that push up through 50-50, just a bit of a washout, but the fact that it was coming sort of from that 53, had a good rally for a couple of days, it washed it out. You'd expect really a strong market just to keep going, maybe a minor pullback, consolidate, and then go again. It's just built that only a few days ago. I think that was Friday, Thursday, and that little push up built the lower high, retest of 5,500, and we're just backing off from that 5,500 level now. Nothing to say it won't back up. Holding up above 53, sort of that, at the moment, that's the key. It can hold up anywhere. What are we trading around 5,400 at the moment? Anywhere in that 53.75 to 400. If we can build a high low in here, consolidate a bit, and then bring in more buyers for that push up through 5,500, or just roll over, maybe retest 53, but we just have to see how it plays out. At the moment, that for me, that price structure is still looking fairly good. Longer term, so we'll have to see how that goes in the next, obviously it's going to take a few days and see what happens over that rate rise in the US. Let's go back to just where we were a second ago to a few more charts. The Aussie. Now the Aussies, we got that, that major push down. Just drill it back a bit from 77.50. We've been following for a while. Then we had that correction, big bounce, and we could be in the midst of making a lower high in a major, on a longer term scale, below, so that 75. This sort of resistance level. We've had backed off there, so that contraction high we just broken. Retested a couple of times 73, 74, say 75 zone, 73, 75. Retested that and just bouncing off that zone. So maybe we make this minor inside lower high than this 75 even, and then we roll over from here and then just take out a few lows. Or this is going to hold and just work its way back up through 75 on a longer term scale. Have a deeper correction, or a more major correction anyway. At the moment, it's looking more to me like this type of price action is not quite strong, and if we see a sharp like this shock to the downside, then I'd expect this to be under fire, 73, 75, and just sell off at least to test these lows at 73 and even lower. See how that goes. Look at gold. Let's take a look at gold. So we've had that big move through 1200. We've had a good sell-off and then bounced back up and retest, so it contracted back up to retest a couple of times, and you can see these lower highs formed. One was around 11.95, and then similar, so 11.94, 5 zone, we retested there, and then had another good sell-off down to, we got down to say 11.60, and then we're just sort of pushing up. We're just reacting off that 11.60 level at the moment, but definitely that trend, this is an hour chart, is definitely down. If we say, well, you probably can't see that, but definite, I'd say this, the key level just at the moment is sort of that 1200, 11.98. This sort of high in here, where it's reacted off. That's where we built this current leg down. So whether we just push up, and we have actually opened up a bit stronger today, and then just sold off. We've been open since about 8. I think it opened at 8 or 9, 4 or 5 hours ago, 4 hours ago, 3 hours ago. There you go, somewhere around there. Opened up quite strong on gold and then sold off. So more on this US dollar weakness. So we'll see how that continues to play out, whether we get these shorter term lower highs that push back up towards 12, or we just go down and retest some of these lows and then build a higher low and work our way back up. But at the moment, gold's still looking weak. It's still holding this longer term trend down. So to see how that goes, whether it can abate soon or we get some buys starting to step in. But at the moment, that's that daily resistance is still holding up at about 1200, so that's a key level. Just go back to the daily. Let's take a quick look at the daily for anyone interested in gold. Yeah, so that's quite a strong move down, really. Whether we sort of hold up, we start working back above 1200. A fair bit of work to do. It is stretched below 1200 at the moment. No reason why we can't work up on a daily basis, push back up to 12, retest, and then start building some more major lower highs, and sort of extended that move lower. Be interesting to see where we go. Really, next port of calls right down near 1080. So good, a fair whack if that's the case. All right, that's it for just. Is there anything someone wants to quickly look at, like another currency or anything like that, the US, just before we flick it across to the discussion of the day? I know we're a bit delayed, so I'll just wait a minute. Alright, let's just see where we are while we're just giving it a minute. Yeah, it's all looking pretty red. These are our stocks we've been looking at lately. Not looking too flash. There's a few there that still doing alright in the face of adversity today. Have problems saying my big words. But anyway, let's get into it. So, topic of the day: stocks that have been smashed. All right, are they worth buying? So this is just a few that we've noticed, and I guess it's a good discussion topic, and how you view, how different people view this. I know, I've been caught out so many times it's not funny. I'm sure Davin has as well. Oh, what's the code on that borrow? Is it BR? Yeah. Let's just check. I haven't noticed it. Borrow BLD. Yeah, be interesting. What's that? X rights? Okay. So that's a rights issue. It's something, I guess, yeah, slightly different, but it's been sold pretty heavily down to that level there. Let's just look at a weekly. Yeah, it's whether it's interesting because it's down near that support. This, I guess, it's a good example too. Whether someone sees this as cheap or they want to see a bit more of a sell-off. Who knows? I guess everyone views it differently. I guess I used to see when you're following something closely and they get hit, you tend to, whether you've got an affinity with the stock, you love it. You've fallen for it a bit, you've done your research, and you do still like it. They get sold off quite hard for whatever reason. Usually, it's on the back of news. If that's the case, then a lot of people seem to want to jump in because they see it as a good value. But there's no reason why they can't keep going. And this is where you can get caught. I guess what I prefer to be looking at nowadays, and what I guess I've learned over the past, is just looking for, if you do view it as cheap and none of the fundamentals have changed, it's whether it's massive profit taking, or there's something that investors haven't taken quite well, just an announcement. They've seen it as a bit of a capitulation of, I guess, of the price. Really, it's been going up quite hard. Well, let's go over to one. This is a good example. This is something that the reject shop. Let's just go here. This is something we were trading a while ago. I think we had it in this run up here, and we got out on about the 20. This move down here is the 23rd. It was actually the next day. Was that a weekly chart? That's a daily chart. So we got stopped out somewhere in here. Had a good little run. Did quite well. Yeah, made a good profit in that move up. It took out highs, and then you can see that's an extended move in this region here. Quite an extended move up. So we're just locking in profit. We've got lucky that it's just before an announcement. I mean, I guess I've said before, I don't look at the fundamentals as much. So that was more just risk, managing risk appropriately, where I see fit, locking in some profits, locking in some gains. We did that, I think, through this resistance at 1450 thereabouts. Did all right. Then it came and got smashed. I think they had a report come out around the 24th. There was news flow on the 24th. Everything wasn't too bad. I think it's more the competition from Aldi stepping into the market, and they're feeling the pressure for competition. And I think there's a few projected growth factors that didn't play out to what investors thought. They weren't getting the numbers that they used to, and it's getting a bit tighter. The margins were getting a bit tighter though in the news release, but that, so people are just viewing that, okay, they're under pressure, maybe this has been a good run, let's just sell it off. Now, if you viewed this as cheap somewhere down here, bought it in that move up there, because it's down in support around that $10 mark, then obviously you've got hit. It's been sold off quite heavily, and if this is something we actually did another alert, a follow-up alert, and it wasn't until after that I looked at it, especially with this move up and this blowout through those highs. If you go back to a weekly, technically that's quite horrible, really. Right back in 2014, so you've got really a double top up here. And this type of congested price action, if you're not following technicals as well, congested type price action was really struggling. So if you flick it back to monthly, technically, you've had a good push up, a pullback, build a higher low, push up to new highs, come all the way back down and tested this higher low at about 9 and retested it, went again. So if that was a strong market, in my opinion, it should have kept going. And you've seen this type of price action, obviously something's driven it down. Whether it's news, I don't know what's caused this big sell-off. Was that a day? Or was it? I was probably too far to go back. Let's just get that there. Let's just take a look. Yeah, so that was obviously in one day. Something's happened over that time. Big sell-off there. And then, so if we're just watching that, it's a good sell-off. And then we've taken out those lows at $9. So technically, on a longer-term view, this is not pretty. And we've made that, if that's a double top, we've made a major lower high, and we've even had a washout. And that was about the time we traded it, a big washout of this previous high around 14.50, 14.60 thereabouts. Expecting it to go higher, you know, from this price action, expecting it to push back up to 17. Didn't. It just looked, and it looked stretched there at the time as well. So looking at that overall view on this stock, if you were just sitting back and go, okay, it is cheap, it's looking good, I want to buy it. Yeah, the fundamentals are still probably pretty good. I'm happy with those. If you can just stick with some technicals and look for a setup, a reason to buy it, a technical setup, then this would have held you out of the market and held you off this big sell-off. All right, so that's one that I guess, you know, an example of potentially getting caught on just buying on the old, having that tendency to go, look, it's looking cheap, let's buy it, let's jump in. All right, does that make sense on that one there? We'll go through another couple. I just got to get the news up. So I think this was a more recent. So this is an old one, obviously TRS. I don't know who traded that. Has anyone actually jumped into that or was in that at that time? Give me an aye if you were, or a nay if you're not. Okay, this might be a bit closer to the heart. This is Bellamy's. We've traded this in the past as well, had it as an alert through TradeSetup. Done well on it. I just can't, it would have been somewhere around, I think it was through this push up here. I think we had it a couple of times actually. I can never quite remember. Let me just find out. Yeah, so we've had it twice. We're on the 4th of May, 4th of the 5th, so in May, somewhere around here, we took it in this little break up through here and took this little profit, got stopped out on that pullback, and then we took it again on 28th of the 7th. Alright, so we took it on this push up here, and we got this leg up, and that was just before, you know, that sell off through there. So we did alright on that, and you can see that when it was starting to get a bit stretched up there, even on the weekly, just looking, yeah, starting to get a bit stretched up here. So that was not a bad little exit. Took profit on it twice, which is good. It still had a good run. It's trading technically quite nice, and they've come out on was it Friday? It's been belted on Friday, down 40-50%, I think. Yeah, and you can see the volume. There's 39 million today. Let's just see what see that big spike in volume there. So technically at that point, coming into here, probably is getting a bit contracted. You're starting to see it perk up, some buyers stepping in. I don't know why. Other stocks, Smash, VOC. Oh, we'll have a look at those in a minute. Just give me a sec there, Paul. I didn't realise that. Does that help there? Just trying to, sorry, let's just reset things. Oh, that's better. You should be able to see it now, Paul, I guess. The horizontal anyway. Alright. Yeah, I don't know what that is. I don't know if it's just something to do with the setup of the actual stream. Alright, just let me know. That's better. Perfect. Alrighty, so we've got BAL had a good sell-off here. Let's just get some news up there of why they had a news alert. I just got to find the right one. Bellamy's Australia. Okay, I think there's a statement A statement made by Bellamy's regarding the Chinese market environment read like this: Bellamy's will continue to experience temporary volume dislocation until regulatory uh, registrations are completed in China. Brands that are unlikely to gain registration are liquidating inventory at discounted prices, which impacts both imported brands such as Bellamy's and market overall. And I think this is a reason why the other one on our list, A2 Milk, has got sold off slightly as well on Friday. So Bellamy's copped the brunt of it, obviously, with that statement, and obviously that wasn't taken very well by people at all. And you can see that massive sell-off of 40 or 50%. So just looking at this one, for whatever, I wouldn't go anywhere near it now. I think it's got a lot of work to do technically. And for me, you really got no zones. If we just draw this one up just to see a technical view of it, whether that, who knows how long that's going to take, and who knows how much selling's to come out of that that stock. I don't know why that's done that either. I hope that's, you can see that one there. Alright, that's alright. So just going through, you still got for me, a bit of support could be just sort of through that zone in there, say 450 to 550. It's a dollar zone, and it's still got, I think someone's got a price target now about $6 on that. I can't remember who it was, UBS maybe. Someone's come out and said just after that, okay, we've got a price of $6. Let me just see if I can find out who. Anyway, it's not looking good for them. Yeah. All right, so we've got maybe a support just down at that zone, 450 to 550. But in essence, if there's people viewing this as cheap, this is one that could catch people off guard. And maybe it has today. Who knows? This is probably not one just to keep an eye on and see how the price action plays out. But yeah, down 5% on Bellamy's today. Really been belted. So a big volume again. It's probably obviously not as big as Friday, but that volume coming in is just selling capitulation. So we don't know where that's going to take us. If it's going to take us in that zone, we still want to see pushing that zone. Maybe some perk off, a bit of buyers stepping in, a bit of a washout. So I think either way, for me, there's going to be a lot of work to do there, because you can see all that volume come out. It's not going to turn around and step straight back in again. And that support, they want to see. Obviously, this one could just go. Who knows what's going to happen? But after that news, obviously, if that's the reason why the regulatory news out of China, I think that's going to take some time to work its way through. Even just to bring the confidence back into the market on this. So viewing this as okay, it's been pummeled, it's cheap, it could go cheaper, there's no reason why it can't. A bit like the reject shop, looked cheap, bounced off those, so people, it would have dragged people in, and then had another good sell-off. So I think we did alert that a while ago. It was around $10 when we alerted, and it's dropped another $2, so another 20%. When we noticed that and pretty much alerted it, and it was a good sell-off actually. Even it was a good short sell if we noticed it. But that was one that you just don't want to get caught if you're looking for this push into this level. Say maybe a bit of a washout and start buying, and it comes up. Buying into here, because it could easily just get caught and go boom straight through and take out another level, and just head south a bit more. So really, you just want to see a lot of price action and really see the selling abate and see that volume really dry up, and then people start stepping in over more of a longer term, I guess, and you just see that signs of people stepping into the market, bit of contraction. That it might take a long time to play out, but I think that's a safe bet anyway. Just getting your technical indicators if you're viewing your fundamentals as looking good. All right, does it make sense on that one there? Let's click it over to. So we've got HSO. This is one I was reading about. It was really today. Now this, we can see this is probably back on. Let's look, what date was that? That was the 20th of October, so the 21st. Was belted on the 21st. Let's just go back to Healthscope. I think this is comparable to Ramsey's. I think they were talking about. We'll just get a bit of news on that. All right, so Healthscope, HSO. So what is it? What did they say? The 20th, 21st. So you can see the news come through. That was in October. 21st of October. I don't know exactly why it got sold down hard. Obviously, there was some news that came out that wasn't taken kindly by the market. Okay, so I think it's just maybe it's had a good sort of plug higher, and then I think management had an market update here. You can see on the 21st. Probably people are expecting it to get just to grow faster to get those numbers, but it's seemed to flatten out a bit. And I think similar numbers as they were talking about. Management recently updated the market to say it's experiencing similar numbers of patients in the first quarter, financial year 17 as 16, and I think people are just expecting growth. So maybe that's why it's got sold off quite hard. And the difference I see in maybe this one, HSO, as opposed to Reject Shop or Bellamy's. Bellamy's got something hanging over its head, I think, with that the China issue. So who knows what's going to happen there? Whether they could just drag it on, out of China. So until that's solved, that problem, I don't think we're going to see too much positivity in that stock anyway. Whereas Healthscope, I think generally it's a lot of its business is in Australia, by the looks of it, as opposed to say Ramsey, which is doing quite well. Let's just go over to RMS. You can see that's the opposite, and we were looking on 10 potentially buying this one. You can see that's going quite well. A lot of businesses, I think a lot of it's overseas, not mainly Australia based, whereas HSO is a lot more in Australia based. Now I think the fundamental story behind this one, Healthscope's better, and the potential with viewing this as cheap, yes, potentially because of the fundamental story behind it. So I guess talk of inevitable aging population and rising hospital capacity, sorry, with a rising aging population, you know that the numbers are starting to pick up. The number of people over the 65 and 85 is expected to double over the next 20 years, obviously, and I think Healthscope are actually they're planning on expansion too. I think they are expanding the number of beds or the number of hospitals. The plan is for 762 more hospital beds becoming operational in financial year 19. So they're viewing that as a big positive. So fundamentally, that looks good. The number of people flow through of the actual into the hospitals and out of the hospitals, obviously, in and out, hopefully. The geographical growth. So this is just what we mentioned before. Healthscope is much more Australian focused than Ramsey. All right. So a lot of it's more focused. It's more of the known than the unknown, I guess. And the dividends, it's another good point with Healthscope. The dividends are expected to be around, I think it's 6.5%, a fully franked 6.5% yield based on the past 12 months. So that's not a bad little dividend. I think it was just gross up to. I'm just reading some news that I've seen pop out, which grosses up to 9.3% when those franking credits are included. Okay, fully franked dividends, say 6.5% yield. That's quite a good little dividend. Whereas I think Ramsey's more around the 3% mark, 3 or 4% mark. So compared to that, it's better. I think Ramsey's is trading at about 26 times financial year 17's estimated earnings, whereas Healthscope is 19.3%. So as a buy, in comparison to Ramsey, it's looking really good. And Ramsey's technically looks great. It's just that sell-off. So this is one that's obviously been beaten down, but the supporting reasons to buy it are there fundamentally. Now, this is where I would still be looking for a technical entry. If I just click that off there. Yeah. So yeah, there is a few. Well, this is a lot of that reading was off Motley. What is it called? Motley Fool. They rated it as a buy as well. They were talking about buying it, and this is what the whole news came about. It's just where, I guess, from a technical point of view and a pure trading point of view, um, I I wouldn't just jump in. I'm still looking at this. Let's draw it up. Let's draw it up. Technically, it hasn't. We've had a sell-off, okay, down to support levels, say through 210, 215, that sort of zone in here. Yeah, that's all good, but that's again, you're getting this contraction in price, and it's not, for me, daily. I mean, the MAs are obviously, it's because of that big sell-off, are pointing south. Let's just get a look at the weekly. Yeah, so it's really just, and this is, I guess, the difference in looking things purely from fundamental and purely from technical. From a technical chart, I wouldn't buy that just yet. I'm not seeing anything that's going to drag me into buying it. Fundamentals are good, so it's something definitely I would be keeping an eye on. You've got a resistance, even if it's just range trades between 210 and 310. Say it's only $1, but if you pick it up off this support level and potentially push it back up to the other side of the range, up towards 310, then what do you got there? 30. Am I right? 30%? Or is it 60%? 30% gain, which is good. Even if it closes the gap, say towards 290, you've got a good trade there. But I'm not seeing, because you're building these higher lows, but you're still pressing down into that support with lower highs. At the moment, there's nothing to say it can't take out these lows and go south. Maybe a few people caught not being able to sell it in here, or it's gapped down so hard they're just going, let's just hold it. It's down here towards support. But then you get these sellers keep pressing down. There's still a bit of pressure on the downside. You can see buyers stepping in, but there's not any clear direction, who's winning, if that makes sense. Who's winning the battle at the moment. So this is one, as I'm viewing differently to Bellamy's and the reject shop, those last couple of examples, that the fundamentals are looking good. There's a reason to buy it. It's, you can see, Roger Montgomery's mentioned it, the Motley Fool are looking at it. There's a few looking at it, but technically, I'd want to, if it's going to perk up off that support zone, you've had that big press down, push up, another retest, and then you started, we're getting these higher lows. I still want it to see somewhere where it's going to break out of that contraction zone. You want to see a setup, or whether it breaks out, if you can see if that's the case, breaks out, comes back, and that where I think is where you're going to see some decent buying and people jumping in, because there's more confirmation that's starting to break out of this contraction. When maybe it takes out that high at 235, press it up, so it's breaking to the top side. Buyers are getting more confident. Anyone who's sitting on the sidelines, potentially like myself, sitting there watching it, see it pop up. I could easily miss the boat completely, but I'm willing to take that chance because it's not seeing. I'm not seeing confirmation either side just at the moment. That could easily just hold this, and then pop straight down again and take out straight out of contraction, if that makes sense. To the downside, there's nothing at the moment saying, so I haven't got my technical entry, although unlike the others, there's a reason to buy it. Seems like, anyway. So does that make sense there, guys? I'll just quickly look at A to M. I've got a bit of overflow from, was it Bellamy's? Yeah, it had a good sell-off on Friday as well, but technically that still looks really good. I think we discussed this one. It is, it's been banging around in overbought territory, quite stretched up here, and this is probably not such a bad thing if it can build a bit of a base here. If you haven't got into it, potentially buying and building those inside higher lows, and then off we go through 250 through these highs. But really, that news has probably just constrained that price appreciation for a little while. Alrighty, so anyone, Somebody told me that Bellamy's imports raw materials from Switzerland, sells to China. Yeah, true. Take out Bellamy's as a middleman. Sorry, Paul, just saw that then. Bellamy's the reasons for the crash. Yeah. So maybe Bellamy's has got a bigger, some half decent news behind it too. It's just that China thing that's dragging it down. All right, let's take a look at some of the others people just put in. HSO, we've mentioned that. Sorry, ISD. Let's go backwards. All right. So I think what, in a roundabout way, trying to get into there is the differences in when you get things that are selling off quite hard, is just trying to assess, case by case basis, assessing why it's been belted, the reasons behind it, what's the story behind it, and then obviously the last bastion, I guess, the last thing to look for is a setup. I mean, if everything's ticked off the market, this is a bit of an overreaction to something. When you get these hard sell-offs, is it an overreaction or is this warranted? Is there going to be further selling into it? Who knows? But once a few things are ticked off, then you're waiting for your setup, and that's the last-ditched effort where there's going to be confirmation that you're right. And once you've got that confirmation, then it could be the world's best buy, or or at least you can assess your risk. And then if it does turn around and sell back off, you might just be able to get a break-even trade or a slight profit, even if you are wrong. I think the first thing is just to assess why it's been sold off hard and the reasoning behind it. Is that likely to change in the near future, which gives it a good reason to pop up? Or do I have to sit there and wait for a long time and know what confirmation do I want to see? So hopefully those examples gave you a few different scenarios. So what do we got here? We've got ISD in Century Group. That's another one, being sold off there. Yes, it's not all on a daily, so really it's down. What do they do? I'm just going to have a look quickly on what they do. ISD. Alright, I want you to do that. ISD is a media intelligence company in the Asia Pacific region, operating across New Zealand and Australia. Software as a service and value added service. Okay. So what was the reason changing directors? Results of meeting. Obviously something wasn't taken too well on the 17th. Belted. 7th November wasn't taken too well by the market. Let's go back and just look at a technical view. Software and services, okay. A view on this one really is, it's just down to support. I mean, that's the only real reason. It's again, we're probably major lower highs in that. You had a bit of a wash out of that $4 region. Obviously, it's just that support level was just bang through there. So now we just want to see evidence of it holding up off that $2.30 zone. Again, this one, because it's been on the back of some news, whether that news is going to continue to flow through. It is stretched into there, obviously. You can see that, and I guess people that look at divergence and things, that is showing some signs of divergence, and it could easily just pop up off that level. But I'd want to see a bit more evidence. Now, if I just, what I want to do, I just want to get that stock there, and I want to make that a little bit bigger. Just that final. Just bear with me 1 second, guys. You can hear the fams come home. Alright. Just draw that up again. Just a bit with a bit more data. So we know there's a support level, a good support level sort of through that, was it 240 zone. It is at the moment just it's sort of constrained by 270 at the moment. It's at that big sell off, gap down, sell off into there, close below 240, or around pretty much right at that support zone through here. It's picked up the next day, sold off the next couple of days, and spent some time just above that, say 250, 245 to 250. Has pushed back up to 270, sold off again. So whether we're going to just sell off from here, we sort of had that push down, push up, bit of consolidation through here, pop back up, and whether we just go bang straight through again, or we start building some higher lows. So once we start building some higher lows, I think 270 is going to become a bit more of a key resistance level. So if we got that type of price action that's holding a few minor higher lows, and we start pushing up, taking out 270, pulling back, building a higher low, and just sort of work our way back up, maybe to close that gap at 320. Whether it does that type of price action, working its way back up there, and then we might get it rolling over, which either way is going to give you a good buy off that support zone. But as long as we can analyze our risk, as long as we can quantify our risk, sorry, I guess the words I'm looking for. But this type of price action is a bit harder to trade because you've had that big solid reaction down, that push down. So we want to see reaction off that 240, and that type of price action it's not strength in buyers, which sometimes I view as, you get that push up and then you start building a lower high and you head back down, and then we may come down and retest it on a longer term scale, but then if we start perking back up off that support, I mean, this could be an initial trade, you could make something on it, could do it right, but I just don't see that type of price action as going pop straight back up to close the gap. Does that make sense there? I don't see that, just because, news flow, I guess when news pops out like that and there's a big sell-off, I think it's going to take a bit of confidence for buyers to jump back in, and it could be this type of slow process where confidence is slowly renewed, people are slowly stepping back in to buy, and then you start building for that move back up, at least to retest that zone. You probably get a bit of reaction off that highs, you may get that lower high build like we said, and I guess from here, if we can get that push back down to support retest, then you're looking for high lows to build again, maybe a bit of contraction, and then that pop back up. And that would be an awesome, because then you've got that push up, a retest, it makes it a double bottom, retest to that support zone, and then a push back up. And I think that's where you're going to get your longer term appreciation in price and a good leg higher. Alright, hope that makes sense. There was a few others just previously. It's great, Paul. A VOC. What do they do? Yeah, alright. Let's just go to VOC. VOC, telecommunications provider of internet, fibre, data centres and United Communications across Australia and New Zealand. High performance, high availability and high scalability communication solutions which allow enterprises and service providers to quick and easily deploy services for their own use, for their own customer base. Okay. So this one here, VOC, just looking at the technical. Daily, so when was that, a couple of days ago really. 24% results of meeting, Chairman CEO speeches and presentations. Obviously something wasn't taken too well again. Trying to pump up the stocks, had the opposite reaction, and you can see that was starting to find a bit of support off just above $5, and then obviously something's come out, that market hasn't taken it well, and that's just continued the weekly downtrend really. Support was held at sort of that $6 mark, pushed up to retest it next day, bang, straight through it, straight through the support. So I was saying resistance at $6, went straight through support just above 5, say 510, lows of 520. Hasn't taken it well, so if we just go and have a look at that one on a longer term basis, start off the monthly, work our way back. The monthly hasn't got any, I can't see it abating. I mean, it is well into oversold, it's getting a bit stretched, it's had quite a few months of a big sell off, mid this year, May, June, so it probably started in June. You had that, even if you go to the weekly, you had that lower high build at $9 retest, and then just capitulated from there, from pretty much 9 down to 6, so a good 30 to 40% sell-off, straight down, and it spared a bit of the last few weeks, consolidate, and then sold off again. So really, this is only a minor support level, technically at around that $4 mark. I wouldn't see that as a major level at all. Maybe it's going to retest this breakout of 3, so in saying that, it could be a bit more to go. Who knows? But go down to a daily. Again, on the daily, there's no reason why this thing can't continue. Take out 4 and then just go south again. So you've got a few levels where it could pull up short if it can't hold 4. And just look at that daily. The last few days, it's sort of pushed down hard into 4, bounced off only on Friday, and then selling off again today, down 3.5% today. If it takes out 4, I think off she goes. It could just head south, and you got probably next port of call would be around $3. So could have a dollar move into it, and big volume too on that sell-off. Good volume. So whether that's finished, the sellers are finished just yet, who's to know? Nothing to see on a daily basis where it's getting a technical sell-up. You need this. If it's going to be around here, you need $4 to hold up. Maybe retest a little wash, but I think there's a lot of work to do still. What else we got there? TPM. You're showing some great ones there, Paul. TPG Telecom Limited. Alright, again, it's pretty much the same. There's nothing to me that stands out as a port of call for buyers to start wanting to step in, and they're not. You can see on the daily basis they're not stepping in. Excuse me. Just technically what we look at is some good volume step, and you can see still some decent volume through here, through October, November. But sellers are still strong, and you can see that selling action, that big spike in volume through 7.5 million on that negative day, just through 7, and it's just touching below 7 at the moment. I think it's low 691. What's that day? 692. So it's pretty much, we've had a low of 692, so right on those lows. I guess stochastics are starting to see these moves down as a little bit weaker, but it's not showing you. You really do need it for buyers to be jumping in here and start to perk up off that level. Memorable trades in your career that you can think of, or ones trades at your client. Alright, well, we could go over that. I used to trade a lot of options. That's one thing that sort of stands out. We did quite well on. I'll talk about it in a sec. I'll just finish off on this one though. But you can see TPM. Yeah, for me, I'm not seeing anything. If we just drill into this price action a little bit, where are we? Where's my little tool? We can see there's nothing for me. Just seeing 775. It's just retested that, and it's if this is going to be a bit of a range forming, we need to hold up in that support through. Was at 692. But it's still got these minor lower highs in here. There's nothing technically to say buy just yet. You really need it to, so that support, that resistance, it's had that sort of push up through here, retest, it's spent a bit of time down here, worked its way back up, comes straight back down, it's built another lower high. So at the moment we're right down there. It really needs to, I guess there's a few ways it can move. It needs to start picking up and then building some high lows, maybe even taking out this, maybe working its way back in, building some high lows again, and then going, and then you'll probably be a bit more comfortable, especially after that strong sell-off, a bit more comfortable buying it into a major high low. I mean, because this just could easily just push straight through here, come back in, and then bang, off she goes to the downside. It may not even go off a lower high. So something to keep an eye on. McGrath Real Estate. You see the guy off that show? I remember watching that and seeing he opened the company, it floated and it just getting sold off. He wouldn't be too happy about that. Technically, it's not looking nice. Honestly, there's nothing to say by that, apart from it coming in to support around 85 to 90. You can see those MAs, what we look for. It's still expanding slightly, which would lead me to believe there's going to be a sell-off, through 85. Especially if this market's negative, if this sentiment on this stock is negative, and then the market turns around and is still negative. I think people who are, I guess, just psychology, just sick to death of holding it. If you're holding it through here, you bought it up here, you're seeing your profits evaporate when it's back down near 90 cents. It tried to push up and it's straight back down again. So any sort of buying, more major, and you really just close the gap with this push up to $1.30. You can see that gap down, got bought back up, made a lower high just in here, some higher lows, tried to go lower, and that's what what we've spoken about a few times. When it tries to go low and it struggles, then you probably get into deeper correction. It doesn't mean that this trend down is over when you get this sort of perk up here. It's really just closed that gap at $1.30 and then started to build some lower highs again. You can see that roll over there, and we could just get continuation through here, continuation of that trend lower. So to me, for it to hold up off say 85 cents, it's got a bit of work to do, a fair bit of work to do. But really, that trend, if I was holding that, I'd be praying that it's going to pop up so I can either get out or show some strong signs of picking up. Shark Tank, was he on the block as well? Was he the guy that was the judge on the block as well? Am I thinking of someone else? Oh, he's both. Same bloke, I think. Yeah, but either way, I'm pretty sure it is. It's not looking good. So I think it was a guest. He came in as a guest appearance on the block. I was just watching it this time. Yeah, but yeah, that's not looking good. So yeah, all right. So anyway, we'll probably call it a quit there. I guess Clement, just to quickly answer your question, stuff that I really enjoyed trading. This was years ago, and I guess it's where technicals didn't really come into it too much. I started off trading a lot of options, more than obviously off futures, index options, FTSE, DAX, SPY. Doing those spreads. That's where that's where I started to, and working my way backwards to trading. Pretty much everything after that. Good trades that I really enjoyed as a good solid years on crude oil. I don't know if anyone remembers that. Remember when crude oil took off from about, I think it was around $60 a barrel. It shot up to about 140 to 150 bucks a barrel. Had a couple of really Aussie 200, yeah, Will season for sure, when it took off. So that volatility, if anyone's traded options before, volatility is awesome for not for buying options as such, more for selling, because the premium just rockets, and you get word trading, just selling calls basically on crude all the way up. A few hairy moments along the way at the start when it was started moving, but yeah, for pretty much a full year, 2 years, even after it tanked through the GFC, I think it picked up off that, and we still made some money selling some calls, and then it petered out after a while because the volatility come out of the options. But a good couple of years of couple of trades a month, I guess. It was not as active as what I've been of late, or last few years, intraday trading and stuff. Nothing like that, but solid returns. You might have one losing trade a year on selling calls, and everyone's sort of said that they're very risky selling naked calls. There's no protection, no nothing. It's just purely you get a good solid move, volatile move up. The market looks stretched, sell some calls, and eventually, because you're so far away from the price, you've got a lot of wiggle room. Volatility is so high, you're getting really good premium. This at that stage you're selling, you're probably lucky to get 5 to 10 points, 10 cents now, which I was getting 45 cents as a comparable time away from. I guess what do you say? Before they expire. So you trade them about a month out. Now you get next to nothing. But back then you can just trade them. You can trade the same option about 3 times. So used to trade a lot of bonds, the 10-year bonds as well, a couple of hundred at a time, which was intense. And that's when I started broking. So a lot of good times. Let's look at the ASX 200 again. So what did you want to look at, Susan? Just quickly, just a half an hour chart, a 5-minute chart, a really short-term chart, something. Let's go down. We're on a 30-minute chart here. I mean that's pretty obvious if we just looking at that. No reason to step in and buy just yet. It is getting stretched. Obviously, we can see that on the 30-minute anyway. But you just go down to a 5-minute just to see what it's looking like. If it wants to do it, there you go. again, even the 5 minutes not showing. You're still holding these lower highs. So we're just drawing a segment there. You're still on a daily basis, but you just want to see this support. Come on, be nice to me. You just want to see that support hold up through here. And what is it? 53.85. But if you're following this intraday, 10-minute, yeah, I guess 5 and 10-minute very very much the same. They're going to be the same thing. You're going to get a lower high. So I think the key level is really that that lower high just there at 53.98. We did have a bit of a tried to kick up there, but just really struggling. So to me, just stepping in and buying it just here. I remember we discussed these a few times. Yeah, it's definitely at support. But I think I know the way you trade season. I think you, if you're like me, you just want to see this pick up potentially, even retest that, because I mean it could retest, and you think this is broken because it's broken out of that trend, and then it could just pop. Oh, let's just do this differently. Okay, that's our resistance there. Let's just do a continuous. Let's just draw it a different color. All right, so we may push up there, and it could drag a few buys in there. So this is where, with the ASX, the SPY, anything trade, that based, I'd just be careful. I am obviously careful, but they're just looking at slightly different than stocks. You can have that easily pop up through that resistance, and then what you'd want to see is maybe a bit of contraction, and then it go again, because generally the second time it goes, then it's going to drag in some more buys. But that could easily pop up there. If we just draw a different scenario, pop up through resistance, and then just roll over into the close, bang, and even just push through those lows, because they know that people are going to be, again, just looking as cheap. Does that make sense? So I definitely think it's definitely down to support, and it could be building a higher low here, but really that price action is still not telling me too much. You want to see it break that downtrend, potentially break that. It'll more than likely, more often than not, it washes out that level, pulls back and builds another higher low, and that's where I like to see this, trading the ASX 200 or the SPY, because that move down has still got a fair bit of work. You can see the MA is spread apart. I think it's got a fair bit of work before that contracts enough to really put pressure on those any of the sellers in there and bring in some buyers. All right, hope that helps. We'll probably have to call it a day there. I'm probably at my quota. My voice is getting tired. I've still got a cold coffee sitting in front of me. Hope we all enjoyed that. I hope we're all doing well too, and I hope that helps, Susan, just with that. If you want, feel free to send in any more questions to support at tradesetup.com.au. My MAs are 20 and 50, so I don't look at anything too fast, but I tend to stick to 20 and 50s across the board. But I think we've spoken before. It is a guide only, and I mean there's nothing wrong with a trade off that. If it pops up, test that resistance, that sort of 54 even, up 54 pullback, and then that price action buy. Then if you see that, I'm expecting they're going to be contracting. These MAs going to be coming in together. All right. Yeah, thanks for joining us, guys. Hope you enjoyed. Any questions, send through to support at tradesetup.com.au. Any ideas anything you want to follow, and if I just get up that disclaimer, which you can see here, feel free to join us on. You can join us on YouTube. You can join us on Facebook or Twitter, and we're also on LinkedIn. I think we're on LinkedIn as well. But yeah, feel free to join us on there. Thanks for joining us, and we'll speak to you tomorrow. Have a great day.